Okay, everyone, welcome. I'm Jennifer Rizzio, and this is Jennifer Bloom, and we are so excited that you are going to be part of our Q&A session. You're going to have to bear with me a little. I'm a little under the weather, and so if my voice goes in and out, just kind of go with the flow. This is a time of great giving and great receiving, and it also tends to be a time where you're hit in the face with a lot of your money issues and abundant issues. So we're going to do some Q&A, and we're going to do some exercises today to support your transformation with your relationship with money here and now. Because money doesn't have free will, people. It operates on your will. Hey, JB.
Hey, JU. How are you?
I'm good. How
Besides sick.
So let's start with the obvious. Like, this is a huge season of giving and receiving, and what are some of the things that people are going to it's going to be in their face about when it comes to money and their money issues?
There's just so many layers to this. We could probably talk about it for hours, but
we do.
we do. Well, yeah, we do. We do. Right. So there's your own role in giving and receiving. What do I get to do? What's in my bank account? How am I going to give and receive the way that I want to give and receive? And then there's what's everybody else going to do, right? And what does that giving and receiving really equate to? Does it equate to just it's a gift? You're thinking about me? Is it does it equate to a dollar amount, right? I mean, there's just so many different layers here that can either rise up and be in your face, or can kind of stay under the surface and percolate and kind of cast a grayness over the whole season.
Yeah, and if you haven't healed any heartbreak from past giving and receiving, the holidays of, the past, that's also it's going to dredge up every little bit of disharmony within you, which is a great thing because it has a chance to open up and heal. It's a bad thing if you're kind of trying to stuff it and ignore it. So why don't we give everyone the chance to heal one of those experiences now, and then we can take some questions. How's that feel, JB?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Okay. Hello. Welcome who joined us. So everyone just take a deep breath. You're going to focus on your tailbone. This grounds and centers you. And you're going to close your eyes and you're going to tune into your heart. And then you're just going to ask yourself and your soul, what experience of giving and receiving from holidays past is actually causing you heartbreak, is actually causing your relationship with money to be not exactly what you want it to be. And then we're going to just tune in again on your soul, and you're going to ask this question. How can you let go? That has nothing to do with who you are. That has nothing to do with how capable you are of receiving. That has nothing to do with your essential nature. How can you let that go? JB, if you'll share, I'll share.
Yeah, I am consistently surprised when we do these exercises because, we talk about this all the time. So I had this thought about Christmas past. There was this really huge package under the tree for me, like taller than I was. And I had made up this whole story, right? Because it's been there for days. I made up this whole story. I wanted a stereo. I wanted a stereo system, and I decided it was a stereo system. I don't know why. Anyway, so I open it, and it's this piece of furniture for my room. And I was sad. I was disappointed. And I've looked at that before, but what came up for me was this idea that you take what you're given, and that money, that previous belief is, I don't have a role. I have to wait around, when that's really not at all the role of money, right? The role of money is to make possible what your wants and desires are. And so that's something that I get to, in a new way, realize and allow myself to live.
Yeah. And it's important when we notice that thought coming up or that feeling coming up again, to pause it, really kind of consistency and go, okay, no, that's not the truth of me. What's the truth here is, I am safe to receive anything I want. And money is just a resource of the infinite possibilities. Bring it on. And I know that seems trivial, but when you keep doing it enough, what you're going to see is the building of results. And I can tell you it's working because I've been doing it a little differently when it comes to money. I've been, watching the not enough come up in very sneaky ways and just pausing and going, no, there's enough. We got this. And really starting to notice what happens and what comes into my life and all of the weird things that happen, people buying me lunch, gifts, like it's just amazing. And I love, when we do these exercises, how similar some of our kind of answers are. Because, I had that image, my father was this amazing gift giver. I mean, like, and in our family, me and my brother have gotten this from my father. We can't wait until Christmas. We either have to, tell you your gift or give it to you, and then we give you another one, right? So we love giving gifts. And I remember one year, in my 20s, when he gave me a sweatshirt from, like Long Beach Island where he was living. And I remember feeling, really, this is what you came up with, right? And that also related to the birthday checks I used to get. Oh, the birthday check. My year plus $1. Now, I would have rather had nothing than that check and a card that he didn't even sign. And so, when I start asking for things, right, and not really receiving them, I notice that all of those things come up. So, if you guys want to have, my practice has been to ask for things from the universe and from people and actually watch my reaction and watch the attachment that I have and actually just be an observer about that. And so the next time when I ask for something, I can change it and decide something different. Does that make sense, JB?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're speaking, the way that I see it is, the image that I get, right, is there's the asking, which is over here, and then here's the receiving part. And because of history, right, we have all of these steps along the way of what we have to do or what we have to be or whatever to be able to get over here. So when you ask to be the observer, these pieces can either dissolve or you become aware of them and allow yourself to go, okay, that's the story, right?
And that's the pattern or energy that has been operating with money below the surface. That's the heartbreak that has been activating below the surface rather than choosing something new. For so many of us, love and money are so intertwined, right? And, this is your chance to separate that. So, listen, feel free to pop up and ask any questions. Hey, Jay, I thought we'd do an exercise about separating the energy between love and money.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's do this. Go ahead and close your eyes. If you can, take a nice deep breath. Imagine that you can drop your consciousness, your awareness down into your heart center. Okay. And let's just ask to see 2 points of light coming out from your heart. One is love, and one is representative of money. And first, just notice the 2 different beams that are coming out. Is one bigger? Is one smaller? No judgment, just notice. Are there different colors? Are they close together? Are they wrapped around each other? Are they smooth, jagged? And just notice how that feels. And now imagine that down through the top of your head, that crown chakra is this beautiful wash of divine light comes down through your head, down into your heart, and out into each of these beams. And let's just ask through this consciousness of love, through the consciousness of the divine, that each of those beams gets separated strengthened, smoothed, and just ask for any awareness that you could use in this moment to help to keep those representations clean and clear. And then when you're ready, just take a nice deep breath and come back. And I'd love to hear what you experienced.
Well, I loved it because I had this, you know how I always get the Science 5 reference, right? So I had that image of the Tron bikes, and you know, that love energy was way out in front, but money was getting right up there, and they were separate, which I was like, yay!
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know, what I felt was, really, like, this gets to be a game in a good way. Like, we are making this way too serious, meaning, you know, it's not as serious as we think it is. It's not really life and death. And the more that you kind of add that frequency of whatever, it's going to happen, then for me, those beams got stronger and stronger and stronger. And then I saw them go out and, like, in a good way, flatten the universe and come back tenfold. And it's a really great image to do when I'm focusing about my relationship with money and noticing, you know, what I do with it and what I want from it. I think, you know, so often that, you know, we make the kind of conversations about money, especially if you're an entrepreneur, the conversations about money, we make it like it's about who we are, you know, right?
It's a value statement, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, when I was in corporate America and I was, you know, working with my best friend, I was the money girl, right? Like, I would go in and I would say the largest figure that could come out of my mouth. And we'd get in the elevator and she'd be like, oh my God, they signed the contract. It's like, how'd you get all that money? I was like, you're worth it. We're worth it. Like, there was no attachment to my worth in that situation. And I think that so often we make that an attachment of who our essential nature is. And it's just not. And, you know, I think the question that we always ask, you know, as I'm doing that money conversation is, if I knew I was enough, if I knew I was loved, if I knew I was supported, what would I say? What would I be? What would I do here?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, to me, that makes you a co-creator of that relationship with money, rather than you're doing it based on heartbreak or based on pattern.
Exactly. And it allows you to keep that. You don't ever give away your power, right? That's right. We're always talking about that, but it allows you to keep the power centered with you, right? And I think that one of the things that is so true about this particular season is it feels like it's resting on somebody else's shoulders, right? So I want the holiday of my dreams. I want the holiday that's going to make me feel all gushy inside, right? And we carry such a role for that for ourselves, and money is is in that mix as well.
Yeah, you know, my mom said this year, I don't want any gifts. You know, I want my kids to save their money. I don't want any gifts. And I'm like, you know, that freaks me out because I think, oh my God, this is the time where I get to really show my mother, you know, how much I love her through, you know, the kind of giving of gifts. And I'm like, and if I give her something, she is just going to get mad, right? So, I'm coming up with all of these ways of presenting her with a gift that, you know, satisfies what she asked for, right? Because, again, we also have to listen to what other people are asking for. And I think sometimes we override that, and that creates heartbreak for ourselves in return.
Right, because we're not going to get back what we think we should have gotten back, even as altruistic as we think we're being, right? Because there is that level of expectation.
So I love for someone to ask a question. You can come on and ask live. You can tap into the chat box. Anything that you kind of want our input on about making this holiday season with money thrive for you, making it full of joy rather than, you know, you constantly keep breaking your heart with this relationship with money that's not serving you.
Mm-hmm.
So, JB, we've talked a lot about, and I think one of the things that we're really good about is, we've done the coming back from, Money Broke Your Heart class. We've done it 4 or 5 times live. And now we have an online program, which we took additional learning and we put into it. I think what's really amazing about that material is really understanding that, the lack in our lives is based on the heartbreak and the pain and what we're doing with that heartbreak and pain, rather than creating a relationship collaborative with money. So what is, if you wanted one thing for people to remember today from this conversation about healing that heartbreak, what would it be?
Well, it's interesting because as you were speaking, I got that. Have you ever seen the? Oh no, I can't remember the name of the show, but there's it's Feed Me Seymour, right? The big plant, right?
Little Shop of Horrors.
Thank you, right? So, and we get to choose. So that we get to choose where we are growing from, right? So we've got these seeds that are planted that are heartbreak, right? And we all have them, and there's no judgment around it, right? And so we get to choose to feed that, or we get to choose to feed that, the knowing that we are part of the whole, we are part of the divine, we have access to unlimited resources. And the very first, what I really want people to walk away with is to remember that sometimes it seems like we need to make a really big choice. We have to have a really big action. We need to clean up all our thinking. We need to clean up every single heartbreak. And if you start with the choice to say, I'm going to start to remember that the heartbreak is a story, and that I can choose a new thought. I can, in this moment, I can remember the one piece of abundance in my life, the things that are going really well. Like for me, I love getting down to the river, right? I can close my eyes, I can feel the movement of the Mississippi, I can see the sunlight glinting off of that. And in that small choice, I'm shifting into what I want. And it doesn't have to be big. The more you heal, the more access you have to your own inner abundance. But you can start with a choice.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I think, so often people don't do the tangible parts of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't know how, they're afraid to look at their debt. They're afraid to, set up a system of how they do their bills. When they do their bills, they bring all of that energy instead of the lightness of I even in my blackest of days, I've always loved doing my bills because it makes me feel so adult. And it always felt like, ooh, I'm in a game, right? So, make it something special for yourself. Really notice, are you always taking out a card? Do you carry around cash? What does your wallet look like? What does your purse look like? What does your, tangible examples of money look like? Are you treating it with respect for yourself and for that resource from the divine? Or are you, putting your head in the sand? And I think so often we put our head in the sand.
We do. And it's so funny that you mentioned the wallet, because I was just looking at my wallet the other day, and I've cleaned it out, right? I used to have all kinds of stuff in there that just didn't even belong, right? Old loyalty cards from places I don't shop anymore. So I cleaned it up, but I was noticing the edges are really starting to get frayed. And you know what? This is my treat to myself, right? It's time for a new wallet, so that every time I open it, instead of going, I'm going, oh, this feels really good. And it can be those small choices, and the small tangible things is going to start the momentum.
Yeah, that reminds me. So this is my checkbook, and if you can see it, it looks like the dog ate it, right? And
Yep.
so I'm like, in fact, like the register, I'm like like where you put the deposit, there's no more room in the register, right? Like I need to this is my thing to do today. And I also have a little prayer on it. I have little stickies on it. Like,
Nice.
Right? Like this is supposed to make me happy. Meaning that so often we hear, the love of money, all evil, blah, blah, blah. it's, listen, this is a resource from the divine. Like, this is one of your bus tickets for you to create what you want. So you might as well really enjoy that bus ticket and really, have this relationship and treat it like a friend. My best friend said, and I'm going to use a curse word, so I'm preparing now, you all. My best friend said the other day, why don't you just make money your bitch? And I was like, oh, that's totally wrong. Like, right? But she does have a point, and here's the thing. All she has to do on a daily basis is go, I think I'm going to make $20,000 today, and she does it. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to look at that for a second. And I went, you know what? I have not been treating my relationship with money as though it's divinity. I have been treating it as though it has power over me,
Right.
and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Just like no heartbreak has power over you.
Yeah.
And it's really about healing that and knowing that you are safe to take chances and that you're safe to receive.
Yeah. And again, it's why this season can be so powerful for shifting your relationship with money, because all of the heartbreak is right there at the surface.
Right there at the surface. We got a question about what if you can't find a wallet that you really like. And I went through this a couple weeks ago. I was like, I want a new wallet, and and I'm like, okay, let's just set the intention and let's let it come to me. I think that so often and I do this because I'm a warrior, I like to look for a challenge. I like to, go, okay, so how can we make this difficult? So how can we make it easier, And I would also, go, okay, it'd be a very interesting kind of Facebook post for everyone to post their wallet, right? Like, what does that look like? What really draws you in? Does it actually have to be a transitional wallet? Like, can it be something that you love?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Could it be a different kind of container? What kind of container do you want to put your money into? What kind of container do you want to have? Yeah.
And the lot, I want to circle back because we're almost out of time here. Does anyone have any questions? You can email them. You could do the chat. You could speak out loud. If you don't feel comfortable in this forum, please email us a question. We will answer it. We're doing this because it's just so disturbing to me how we torture ourselves with this thing called money, which doesn't have to be. And of course, to let you know about our online program, which is full of juicy, real rich content and really tangible exercises, which we will be posting in your replay email. So any last call for any last questions? So JB, as we wrap up our conversation, what is the most important thing that you learned and changed your relationship with money?
The very foundation is that money is of the divine. It's a part of me, and that it is meant to be played with. When I first started talking to money, that was the message that I got. It's here. It's light. It's really meant to be playful and light. And as soon as I was able to understand that, I was able to start to see where my heartbreak was, right? I could feel the difference between what monies can be and what it was in my life. So that was a starting point. And of course there are ahas along the way, but that was really the starting point for me.
My big thing was that if I wanted to create a better relationship with money, that I had to forgive myself for every little thing that I did with money that I didn't feel was in integrity. From the $5,000 contract that I signed that I wound up paying for with a collaborator partner to, as a kid charging on credit cards, everything I really had to forgive. And, there's so many forgiveness exercises. And, what we do is we activate that forgiveness in our heart, utilizing divine intelligence. Divine intelligence activate the forgiveness and acceptance in my heart. And then when you felt that, then I offer it to those individual situations or just to the whole concept of what I did or, you know, what I might do with money. And when I did that, when I wasn't breaking my own heart, when I wasn't judging myself, then things really did. There was a huge shift. There was a huge kind of opportunity for me to receive more. And, you know, since we're all big givers on the phone, you know, every time I receive more, I always give more. Like the giving's not the hard part here. You know, you have
Right.
to complete that circle. And, you know, giving and receiving starts and ends with you. So,
Absolutely. Well, and you can start with the receiving, right? You can start that cycle with receiving love, receiving forgiveness, with, as opposed to having to give your way into getting what you want.
right.
Yeah.
And that starts with you and ends with you. So
Yeah.
whatever you have to do, you know, this is the time that you get to do it. You get to draw a line in the sand and go, okay, we're
Mhm.
going to do things differently. So, JB, any last words before we say goodbye to everyone?
Just be light and easy as much as possible. Light and easy. Yeah.
Yeah, and my final comment is if you did have questions or you want to share anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You know, we answer our own emails, we pick up our own phones. You know, we're here to support you, and you know, please learn from all of our heartbreak and pain. You know, learn from the wisdom that is available to you, so you don't have to go through that road. So, JB, once again, I adore you. And I want to thank you for being my collaboration partner.
This is fantastic. It's always, always amazing to get a chance to speak in the same place with you.
Yay. And thank you all for being live and participating with your energy. And again, we're here to answer any questions. Thank you
Yeah.
all.
Bye.
Bye.